yesterday the actor who made Superman what he is today, Chris Reeve. Because I really think that's right. Because comic strip characters do not often work in films. And I think the quality of your acting has made the Superman films work.
Thank you.
But I have a feeling that you're very defensive, Chris Reeve, for having played Superman. You're sort of a... And I'm sort of ashamed of Superman. It's not high-quality stuff. But
no, I tell you, I'm not ashamed of it, but I think it's important to make it not more than it is, you know? You can't peg a whole kind of career or an attitude about work on one thing. It's like, how much credit do you want to take for graduating from high school? Maybe a lot. I don't know. In any event, you can't... I'm on the inside looking out, so I can't keep going back after really what was a 5.5 or 6 year involvement and take credit for a character that basically I really understood 5, 6 years ago. I got to keep thinking forward. Now, if that comes out defensive, that's just, you know, that's not my intention anyway.
There's been so much written about the fact Chris Reeve says, this is the 3rd Superman movie, and I'm not going to do any more Superman movies. I'm going to do something else now.
But there's a good reason for that, and it has less to do with my image than really, I think, having a little bit of respect for the public. If you ask me, and I'll really get in trouble here, but I think the first couple of times out, like with the Bond movies for me, it's Dr. No, Goldfinger, and From Russia with Love. Everything after that is pale by comparison, to say the least. And I would like to, excuse me, not have that downslide with Superman. Is to make 3 movies that were carefully worked on, that were really well thought out, and then say, you know, it's been nice so long.
Superman 3 is somewhat different from the other 2 because it's a little more cartoony.
It is. You can almost hear the pages turning as you're watching the movie. Dick Lester, who directed Superman 3, was born in this country, but he left in the 50s to go to England. So he has a very, you know, this is the man who did Help and Hard Day's Night, got a very wacky view of the world. And he's not so much into the sentimentality of the piece. But the thing that's fun is that he makes it more comic book. It gets crazy. But in the middle, I have to stay straight, you know? So what happens is that Superman uses words that have their original meaning. When he says truth, or justice, or the American way, it seems funny because we know, we have the inside information that those are all fairly off-center ideas today. But if it's, you know, keeping that purity was the key to the whole thing, no matter how crazy it gets around me.
There's a second key to the whole thing, and it's the way you play Clark Kent, because that's a very good portrayal.
Thank you.
I mean, it seems to me that would be harder to play than Superman.
Yeah, I've changed some things about Clark Kent the 3rd time. Annette O'Toole, who's a wonderful actress, plays Lana Lang, starts to like Clark. You know, Clark's gotten sort of lost in the shuffle over the years. And as a result, I decided, look, she's a pretty girl and a bright girl, and she can't be attracted to a moron. So Clark is going to have to loosen up a little bit, and not a little less with this and a little less bumping into the walls, only bump into the wall every other time, but not every time. And it's been nice to play the man who would have grown up in Kansas, you know, who ate Cheerios and baled hay and all this stuff. He wasn't this sort of little stuttering moron back there. He goes back to Smallville for his 15th high school reunion. And when he meets her, you get a chance to see Clark in a more relaxed, less manic kind of way. I think the audience is going to like that.
I'd like to take a look at one scene from Superman. You're back in Kansas. You've been there for a reunion. You meet Annette O'Toole again, whom you knew in high school. She has a little boy. He's sort of a wimpy kid who is the last one who's chosen when they pick sides, right? And they all go bowling, and he's not doing very well. And you can't reveal that you're Superman, but you got to help the kid.
Please, Gene, I can blow you away, so watch out.
You know the name of that scene? The Superman Strikes Again.
Right.
Another thing I liked about Superman 3 is the appearance of Richard Pryor as a sort of semi-villain.
Yeah.
He's got a foot in both camps. He's sort of an innocent villain, right?
Yeah, and I think that was a brilliant piece of casting. Every time I get in the cab, says, "Hey, Mr. Reeve, how come you and Mr. Pryor in a movie? How's that going to work out?" I say, "That's $5 it'll cost, but it'll be worth it." People say to me, though, they said, you know, you do all your own stunts. I say, what stunts? Oh, yeah, I fly, but what stunts? You know, that's a measure of a man who's gotten used to his part. I don't think of that stuff as stunt work, you know? I directed the flying to the extent that, you know, it's a non-credit kind of thing. But that Dick Lester, a very smart man, you know, he lets people do what they know how to do. And one thing I can do is fly. And so... Oh, dear. So what they did is they came to me and said, look, you know, you tell us where you'd like to go and where we should put the camera and how you want to work it out. And that kept me from falling asleep, you know? I think particularly when it's 3rd time back, you've got to keep that freshness that you started with. And being in charge of the flying this time really helped.
What do you want to do without Superman. Superman is now, you say, in your past, you've had 3 films. They've been enormous box office successes internationally. Now, what do you want to do?
Well, one basic philosophy that I'm following. I feel that Hollywood today is sort of not really about filmmaking. This is not a wildly original statement. But there comes a point when you've got to remember why you're an actor in the first place. And my next 2 pictures are going to be movies that are sort of made outside the Hollywood system that may or may not have commercial potential. I really don't care. Because once you've been inside this kind of hype, you know, which is, I think, a nice thing, but it's like eating a whole box of chocolates. You need a little meat and potatoes, too. My next films will be made outside the pressure of selling, because what happens in Hollywood is you make a film for X reason, but they sell it for Y reason, and they don't get together very often.
You said something just a moment ago that's very interesting because it shows a conflict. You say, I want to make a movie, I don't care about it as a big box office success because I want to do it, but the guy who's making the movie, he really doesn't care about your artistry, he wants to make money. Now, what happens in that?
Believe it or not, there are people out there who are on the actor's side and on the side of filmmaking versus deal-making. And you just go to work with them, you know. When Hugh Hudson does Chariots of Fire, he hopes for a big U.S. pickup. But that's not why he sets those guys running around the track, you know. And I think that particularly coming off of the kind of commercial bang of Superman, or I did a film called Monsignor. And what happened there was a really nice film trying to get out. But they pushed the wrong bits of the material and failed to make the case. I mean, you can say anything you want about anyone as long as you make your case. And they didn't make the case about why this man commits all these outrageous actions. They just put them together in outrageous sequence. The result was laughable. And instead of fixing the film, they sold it up the wazoo. Three-page ads in the Times and all that stuff. That's not filmmaking, you know? It's just not filmmaking. Television is really what does it, is that you can just push any old bill of goods down the people's throat. And I hope that people hang on to their integrity and fight back. And we're not going to buy this crap, you know? We're not going to see this. So, I mean, that's the responsibility of, you know, guys like you. And also, I hope people hang on to their common sense and don't believe everything they read and don't buy everything that they're sold, you know? Amen.
What's next? You have 2 films coming out?
2 films are going to go in before they come out, yeah.
All right. So what's next, Chris? You have 2 films to plan, one this summer,
yeah,
and one next fall, and then I'm sure you want to go back to the Broadway stage.
Yeah, I've been looking very hard for a play, and I think I found one that I want to read this summer and work on. It's a really nice idea. It's a play called Dancer Kicking. It's about a guy who's the place kicker for the Atlanta Falcons, and the whole play takes place on a 42-yard line and in various reaches of this guy's imagination. You know, it's a minute to go, and they're down 19-17 for the playoffs against the 49ers. And, of course, they send this guy in for a field goal. He gets out there, he puts the ball down on the 42-yard line, takes 3 steps back, gets ready to kick the ball, and his whole life comes on stage. Everything, all the reasons, what the play's about is why don't we do what we can clearly do? You got the leg, you got the ball, there's no reason you can't kick 42 yards. Why do we stop ourselves from doing the things of which we're clearly capable? So the guy works out all these problems, and his whole life comes back and forth. He kicks the ball, they win the game. I like that. And when they turn it into a musical, the theme song will be I Get a Kick Out of You. Right. Chris Reeve, good luck with Superman 3. Thank you. I'm flying after I get done talking to you. It's really a pleasure. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.